Hey guys, what is up? Fire93 here. Today I'm going to be doing FHR Season 2, Game 2, 18-19 season Fires versus Colorado Avalanche. So before I start to review this game, a couple notes that the Fires had. Christian Fallon is in for Radko Gudas, as Hackstall said he wanted to use all 7 defensemen on the trip. So Gudas was a healthy scratch for tonight's game, and this is also Couturier's 500th NHL game. So before we get into the first period, some things that I was kind of worried about going into this game was Varlamov. As a couple of days ago, he played real well against the Wild. I was kind of worried. I didn't know what they were going to do, and I was kind of hoping that Elliott could probably play as well as he did in Vegas. Because he kept them on in the game. So in the first period, Colorado gets one pretty early, about 2 minutes in, off a bad play from, McDonald, as he fell in the corner, didn't get up, and they got it back to the point, shot it. Fallon was with 2 Avalanche players in front, and Wilson got the rebound and scored. They made it 1-0. A little bit later, the Flyers had a really good breakout. It was defenseman board center right over to Konechny. He went on like a partial breakaway, and then Couturier got the rebound in his 500th NHL game, and he makes it 1-1 as he chipped it right over Varlamov. Later in the period, JP Compher would get one back for the Avalanche off a bad play from Fallon as he turned it over. I thought he had a bad game last night too. Same thing with McDonald. He wasn't great either. All Fallon had to do on this play, he had, I believe it was Sanheim behind the right in front that he could have passed, like a backhand pass off the boards right to him. They could have got it out, but he went to turn around and get it, and then they scored off that turnover. The first period they didn't play that great. They had some bad turnovers. They needed better defense. The power play, they couldn't get much going with the power play. Out of, I believe, the 2 penalties, maybe 1 power play they had in the first period, but they really couldn't get much going. In the second, they got a pretty lucky goal. Vuorbiev, as their Varlamov went to cover it, and one of their defensemen fell, slid right into him. Vuorbiev had a wide open net, and he scored. He got his first NHL goal. Later in the second, McKinnon would shoot from the point. It didn't even really look like a shot. It looked like a really high saucer pass. And Sanheim didn't really give Landeskog a fight in front, and he was able to tip it in. This one did get reviewed for goalie interference, but I think Elliott probably could have sold the case better, but there wasn't much there. It was just his stick, and Sanheim really didn't do anything about him. He could have just tied up his stick, and it would have went wide, because the shot was going wide. So they didn't really play well in the second. They had too many penalties. They had no offense. The defense was horrible. That whole end was in their own. Elliott was stood on his head, and they had a lot of chances in the late couple minutes, offensive-wise, but it just wasn't. They just couldn't score. It was. They played a lot better in the last 5-6 minutes of that period than they did probably all game. Third period. They had a couple power plays and they just couldn't get one in. They had a lot of chances. As Wilson, he gets his second of the night, he'd get one late on the power play off a tip in front. That's like a tip pass over to him, and he would get that in. And then late in the period, McKinnon would get an empty net, which was kind of a bullshit empty net goal, because I don't know who it was in the back end, but he literally sat on the puck for a good 5-6 seconds, and then they went up the ice and scored. So, as of watching hockey for almost 7 years, that's almost 6-7 years, that's a penalty if you sit on the puck, or if you put your hand on it. And it looked like he either had his hand on it or he was sitting on it. I couldn't tell, but oh well. The game was over anyways, but that was still a bullshit goal. But yeah, they didn't really play well tonight. Elliott kept them through the game. He kept them in the other game against Vegas early on, but then the offense was able to get its bearings and actually get some goals. But tonight they really just couldn't score. They had a lot of chances. They had The penalty kill was better late. Late in the game, they did take a decent amount of penalties, which we don't really want to see, and turnovers. One thing that was kind of weird with me was the ice didn't look like it was great either. As a lot of players were falling, fanning on passes, stuff like that. I don't know. I just think it was just a bad game overall. So hopefully they can bounce back Tuesday. San Jose home opener, 7 o'clock on NBCSN. Hope you guys enjoy this one. I'll see you in the next one, and goodbye.